And so my next panel is powered by Veuve Clicquot. Anyone who follows me on Instagram knows I love me some champagne. I love me some Veuve Clicquot. But more than that, I find that I'm always drawn to brands whose stories I understand. I listen to a lot of female founder stories, and most of the brands I use at home, most of the brands that I work with and endorse are brands whose stories I know. So my second panel is powered by one of my favorite brands, Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot was founded by Philippe Clicquot, who passed it on to her daughter-in-law, Barbe Clicquot, who was affectionately known as Madame Clicquot. She thus became the first businesswoman of her times. Quickly named the Grand Dame of Champagne, her visionary spirit and innate sense of French art de vivre live on today. The color of the sun symbolizes the value of audacity and optimism that the house has carried for 250 years. This year, South Africa launched the Bold Woman Award, the first and longest running award of its time. The award is a celebration of leadership, innovation, and tenacity. It also provides South African entrepreneurs with the opportunity to be part of an inspirational community of female trailblazers. I'm honored to be in conversation. I knew this was going to happen. I'm honored to be in conversation with the first South African winners of the Bold Woman Award and Bold Future Award, Gugu Sithole and Londi Ngcobo. Playing the song because we're talking to winners now. We're in the winner's circle. Londi and Gugu, it's such an honor to have you here. Did we plan this?
Hey. Wow. Well, I'm not surprised seeing her now, but yeah.
Serendipity.
Singed. We still sing. Veuve singed.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for taking time to be with me in this conversation, and congratulations on winning your respective awards. Firstly, what's the difference between the two awards? I know there's a Bold Award and then there's a Bold Future Award. What's the difference between the two?
So maybe I'll talk to the Bold Award. The business should have been in business for 3 years or more to qualify for the Bold Award.
So you got a vineyard named after you in France? Can we talk about that?
Not yet.
It's
Not
coming?
yet.
It's coming? When is that happening, and how much money do you get with it?
We'll be living in December.
We'll be living in December.
And can you take your friends?
How we wish.
Be nice. Thank you, friend.
Just checking. I mean, maybe we want to go there. Congratulations. I saw how excited you were. It was such a beautiful event. I really enjoyed seeing you both go up on stage and receive your awards. I want to take a minute to just talk a little bit about your businesses. You both have such extraordinary businesses. I can't imagine how grueling the adjudication process was for you guys to win these awards. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do, because it's not the normal stuff that we ordinary girls do.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Gugu Sithole from Glamping Adventures. We are in the business of healing. We're in the business of impacting lives, of impacting women, and especially women in rural communities through travel. We are not just a travel company. We connect women, to spaces that allow them to be themselves, that allow for healthy conversations. Those moments around the fire in the evenings when we let our guard down and talk about why we are where we are, why we travel. So it's an impact that we make, and basically that's who we are. Not just a travel company, but changing lives through travel.
Beautiful. Thanks. Londi. I'm Londi Ngcobo. I am Captain Londi Ngcobo. I say that. And we all equal at agenda. Actually, even the guys know we all equal at agenda, but it's taken me so much to own up to my title. I navigate ships. But for me, maybe just to put a bit of context as to what my business does, I am a ship navigator And I happened to become first female dredge master. So with that came a lot of noise, media noise. And there comes a time where you just hit the pillow and like all this glory for me, and then you wake up and say, God, there's got to be more than me. There's got to be something much, much more than me. So I started paying attention to my industry, injustices that were within my industry, and realized there's only 2% of female participation globally within ocean's economy. And yet we sit so confused often as to what to tap into. And that became a calling for me with time, just trying to make sense of it. And that was the establishment then of War Maritime Experts. War Maritime, woman, derived from woman. So I sleep at night now trying to contribute to the incline of the 2%. We're a consulting firm in oceans economy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. You know, I've always said I think there's something spectacular that women bring to the table in all the spaces where we go. Isn't it amazing how all the women you've heard speak today are working in areas where they are aligned with their purpose? You know, I did an interview with another woman speaking around feminine energy, because I always like to make it about energy versus gender. There is something about feminine energy that is nurturing. When you are a feminine leader, you often bring that into the space, because we often want to be impactful. I always say, I see so many women saying, I want to start an NGO, I want to do this. But what you are trying to do is speak to this need to take care, this need to nurture. And I am so proud to see women saying, I'm not just doing travel. I want to impact your life. I want to make you feel well. I want to bring you around the fireplace, and let's talk about why you're here. Really, really awesome that we get to see a lot of this as we go into the new future of work. Back to the award. I want to know why I've never applied for any awards. I don't know why, but I want to know what made you bold enough to apply for the award? Was this a strategic move for you as a business? Because, you know, there are businesses who do competitions as a strategic move. What was your personal reason, Gugu, for applying for this award?
It was indeed a strategic decision. To me, when I read up on it, it resonated with who I am. You know, I am a bold woman. I am resilient. I've had to fight in this industry to get to where I am. And I looked at the access to opportunities that this will present. You know, there are 450 bold women around the world. And I said, if I can tap into that network, you know, there is so much power in networks. The plan is to take glamping adventures internationally. It's already happening. And I knew that such a platform will give me exactly what I want.
That's amazing. Beautiful. So now you're one of those 450 women.
Great.
Look at that.
Yeah. The interesting thing for me is that starting the year, you know, I've been theming my years, all of them since 2019. I became known in 2014, but I only started feeling that I have a message in 2019. And I had a year of being intentional. I had a year of clarity where I transitioned from being an executive to now a businesswoman, and it was very confusing. And then this year was meant to be my year of accumulation. I felt that I had done the work and now it needs to pay. But God shifted it. And it has now shifted to being my year of letting go. And I'm losing friends. I'm having to let go of friends, and it is so. So now I've had to listen to why is it, how can I account, and what is it that makes me where I am today not sit well with the next person. At first you'd be like, oh, but vele, you know? And then you sit and you think, we don't have flow. And so I'm listening to the flow, and I had to share with my team in the office to say, this year, guys, I'm just looking for flow, because that's where success lies for the business. And then on Mondays, we normally have like good reports, like a happy hour. They said they have good news for me. I've been nominated for the Bold Veuve Clicquot Award. And I didn't know they had applied. So it was a beautiful pick-me-up for me, and since then, I just was like, I've got a team, all right? So I would say it was a strategic move on their end, but it definitely aligns with exposure for the organization at large.
I think I'm going to touch on a cliche that I think we all know, but seems to be evident in your life as you express what your theme was for this year, which was accumulation. I think it's important for all of us to understand that, you know, when you want certain things, you have to let go of other things to create space for other things. And it's okay to create space.
Absolutely.
It's okay, you know, as Bumi said, nature has a way that it works. In winter, the trees shed. In summer, the leaves are back.
Oh, beautiful.
So in every season, you will experience yourself differently. And I think we find it very hard to transition. We find it very hard to change. We find it very hard to move on from people. But at times, you're going to meet those people again in the future. And I think you should find comfort in that transition because evolution is always taking place. When it came to the adjudication process, I want to know what that was like and what was the hardest part for you? Was it a question? Was it meeting someone? Was it getting somewhere? What was the adjudication process like?
Well, for me, it was enlightening in a way that I'm very much involved in my business. I am very operational. I'd never taken, you know, time to sit back and think and say who is Go or who is Glamping Adventures. I'm always on the run. So it made me reflect. You know, I sat there. It made me appreciate what the work that I've put in, you know, in the past couple of years. I had to sit and dissect, you know, where I am and how far I've come. So it shed light on a lot of things and picked me up as well because we tend to be hard on ourselves as women. So more than anything else, I think there was nothing hard, but it was a reflection of where I am and where I come from. And I'm glad it happened because I appreciate myself more. I'm also giving myself a tap on the shoulder to say, girl, you've done well.
Love it.
Beautiful. I think for me, and maybe just to put it out there, often when there's awards coming up and people are like, I'm going to enter, I'm going to win. I'm going to enter, I'm going to meet people. I'm going to enter, I just want to be on the top 5. There was over 400 applications, and it was narrowed down to 6, 3 per category. That felt like a win. And so going in to the first stage of interviews, meeting our panel of judges, I just already felt like, you see me? Without me having to explain myself, I'm a winner already. Well, I don't care what happens now, you know? But the hardest part for me, which I didn't prepare for, I suppose, was just having to share the struggles that I've had in business. And I didn't expect that, because you think that they're going to ask you, why do you think you should win, you know? And the questions were around, where have your struggles been? And what makes you bold thereof? My struggles have been harsh. I only share some, and some I'm still trying to unpack to date. And having to relieve that emotion along with the strangers that are now meant to make a decision was rather quite vulnerable. And I felt seen, but it felt okay to say that in this space, I think it's safe for me to share what I have struggled with in my business and how I've navigated, pun intended.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. A round of applause for that pun. A round of applause for that pun.
How I've navigated, you know, the challenges in business. So, you know, when you think you're the captain of a ship, you think you've got something figured, and then suddenly you move on to the land side, you make dinners, you make beds, you're stuck in traffic, you know, and that adjustment and just the betrayals and the hardships of business, man. And Pumi spoke about them, and those things, they make you, but they can also very much derail you in who you think you are.
You speak a lot about being seen. I don't know if you're conscious of that.
I am.
I remember the first time I posted about the awards, your response. And I've seen that you do that. I've seen that you do that a lot of times in responding to messaging around you. What is that about? Where does it come from? Why is it so important for you to be seen?
It very much comes from my year of letting go. In letting go, I found myself most successful. There is power in letting go. But in letting go, I felt that, and I'm going to speak about this, what I've just shared now. We have expectations on people. I expect that because we've been friends for 17 years, you should know what I meant. I expect that because we're now sitting in big stages, girl, you should know the struggle, you know? And so it's that. My expectation has not been met. And so I then put it upon myself to say, do I see her? And does she see me the way I think we should? And so being seen matters to me because building certain relationships that came with so much sacrifice, and then in the end, feeling like all this time. So when you can see that bit of my light without me having to work hard of it, you see me.
I want to go into some of the findings from the barometer study that Veuve Clicquot does on a yearly basis, particularly focusing on some of the findings for yourself in your personal experiences around how you're navigating business after COVID. There is one insight that is on the barometer that says 59% of women entrepreneurs report growing more confident in their business dealings, and 63% say they are more professionally bold than before the crisis. Male entrepreneurs agree about this equally. Gugu, I know your business has been around for a long time. Do you feel more bold now than you did before the crisis around your business? What did COVID gift you?
Beautiful question. Wow.
I found myself during COVID. I found my strength during COVID. It was a difficult time for the tourism sector. It was one of the hardest hit. I had trips that were planned and were grounded. But I also had an opportunity to sit back and think, where to from here? How do we keep going? So the opportunity to pivot into other little spaces and to think up, of ways to generate revenue because I've got a team and I was not going to let them down. We pivoted into day hikes, with still that, luxury feel because we're known to curate experiences that are just not your ordinary. And I've got a strong multimedia team, and we decided, why don't we create content, travel content, and we decided on a series that's called Traveling Again, which I executive produce. So to me, COVID brought out a skill that I didn't even know I had. Here I am showcasing South African gems, across the country, traveling South Africa and finding, these little village, tourism, finding women, that are situated within these tourism sectors, because unfortunately there is so much inequality in South Africa as a country, but also in the tourism space. You find rural women in these big and iconic tourism assets. They own none of that. So COVID made me rethink, said to me, there are women out there who is like my grandmother. I grew up in rural KZN, in Nqut. And my grandmother,
Shout out to the Zulu girls.
my grandmother was a businesswoman, and I didn't know that until later because she was known as Ugogo Tungai.
Gogo Tsunga.
But ugogo Tungayo, fed her family ngomtungo, took her children to university ngomtungo, but she was never a businesswoman.
Yeah.
So COVID then made me go and unearth those women to say, women, when I grow, we grow together. So I'm currently going around different communities in rural South Africa. I have identified women that are going to have a stake in glamping adventures. They're going to own glamping adventures and they're going to run with it.
I think we can all see why she won. If you're doubting the adjudication, you're just like, I think I get it. But here's something that's very important to kind of just jump into from your response. We all have just had one of the toughest experiences. The past 2 years have been madness. People have lost loved ones, people have lost jobs, people have lost friends, people have lost themselves. And I wanted to theme this particular summit, What's Next, because I wanted all of us to reflect on what was the gift. What was the gift that came with you standing still? Because don't we long for stillness?
Absolutely.
In the business of the world? I wanted to make sure that when you leave this room, you've really thought about what the gift was that COVID gave you and what you can do with that gift going forward. I love how you articulated your answer because it really spoke to that. There's another insight that says 60% of women feel that it is much harder for a woman than a man to balance work and family life as an entrepreneur, and 55% of men agree, as they face an old age problem, balancing work with either their full-time job and caring for their families. Londi, how important do you believe this conversation of work-life balance is? And how are you navigating that? And I'll tell you why I asked this question. It goes back to what I shared before, that when you take information, process it. Just because Ulondi said it or Gugu said it does not mean it's the truth. I remember there was a time when a Gabriel Union response to a question around work-life balance was circulating, where she said, I never want to answer that because men are not asked that question.
Sure.
But what it was for me that I felt was lost in that was the focus too much on men and very little on the actual question. And the importance of us finding that balance, acquiring that wellness. You know, there are certain things that are important to me, and when someone asks me about those things, I don't need to juxtapose them against Mpumi. I just need to answer them for myself.
Yeah.
For sure. So, coming back to this conversation, which I think is very important, how do you feel about this narrative? Because I call it work-life harmony.
Yes. Oh,
and how
beautiful.
are you navigating it?
This question has been here for a while, hey? Work-life balance. And I think at some stage around, because I watch a lot of women, I follow a lot of women that inspire me. At some stage, I think around 2019, the tone was, there is no balance. And I think that for me, I think it's all about values, okay? And it may sound wrong, but honestly, what you value most will take the most priority. And it sounds wrong because then it means, but I love my family, but I still want to thrive. And it's only just a matter of understanding that your values are clearly articulated and none has to fill any kind of boundary. Because when your yes is clear and your no is clear, then there won't be a need to feel that you need to create any kind of boundaries. So with this, for me, I now understand. I may have not understood this before 2020 hard lockdown. I now understand the importance of my wellness. I understand that I thrive in stillness. It comes first, and my family comes second, now guilt-free. And it's okay. Guilt-free. You come second, and then my business and work endeavors come third. With this, then, it means I will very much articulate it to my family what it is I'm trying to achieve. So in the morning, I'll be able to meditate on the word, do my yoga, have my time with God. Then I will make the lunch boxes and take her to school. But some days, I won't be the one taking her to school, but there's a beautiful Hello Kitty lunchbox that I bought. So that, in that, and tomorrow she would like Barbie, I will buy Barbie, and I will make her lunchbox the way she wants, but tomorrow it won't be me.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing that matters is that my family matters them. They're my tribe. I live for them. But baby girl, she's 6. You want to go to a Disney cruise ship. Mommy is chasing a whole ship for you. You will own the whole arena of the Disney ship. one day. And so work-life balance is all about articulating your intention.
Yeah.
And having that backup and being and feeling supported to thrive. That way, you won't be like, yeah, but sengiyabuya. And that time, the flight gets delayed by 7 hours, you know. So it's that. Work-life balance, articulate where your values are, put a proper priority, and have and understand the methodology of your value framework. So that at home, it can be supported. And that way, even at work, they will know, no, we know. She doesn't stay until, but she will deliver. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you were going to clap for that one.
Yeah.
Your answer beautifully segues to my next question. And there's an insight that talks about caution and determination having increased amongst women entrepreneurs. Since the COVID-19 crisis, women are saying I'm more cautious and determined and professionally confident when it comes to business dealings. There has been a shift in how leadership looks post-COVID. How has COVID affected your leadership style?
It has certainly made it inclusive. I've realized that during COVID, we actually met more as a team than ever before. And it was a very conscious decision. It was very intentional. You know, people were getting sick. It was uncertain times. I'm talking about mental, sickness as well. So I made a decision that I'm going to keep my team very close. We may not be traveling, but we're going to be communicating. And the ideas that came out of those, just touching base, the ideas that came out of the team members and so where to from now, why don't we approach the situation like this? And I actually realized that I've been very much in it. I've been doing everything, to the point that if I'm not around, things will collapse. So my leadership style has changed to a point that I can let my team be. I've taken a step back. I think the first, I took a trip to Berlin, and it was during the weekend that we were traveling with a group of 40 people, and I wasn't there. I left it all behind. I had a goal, and I was going to go there and do my thing. I was not going to worry about my team because I've been with them for so long, and it was time that I handed over the baton. And the event went well without me. So I've learned to take a back seat.
And let your team do what they need to do.
And let them do, and it also helps me focus on strategy.
Yeah.
It also, I've identified that we really need collaborations and partnerships, and that's my focus now. No longer running around looking at plans and, oh my gosh, why don't you put this over there? And I've just let them take control. I'm a control freak. So it's been difficult, but I'm learning to let go, and it feels beautiful.
I think all the ladies I'll be speaking to today are a bit of a perfectionist, a bit of a control freak. Londi, in my final question to you is really, what is next for Global Maritime Youth?
Oh, great, yeah. Global Maritime Youth came again from, War Maritime was born from understanding the 2% injustices. Global Maritime Youth came because every single child that sees me in an afro, in brown skin, in 4 bars on my shoulder, they come and say, Sis Londi, I want to be like you. And then the birth of Global Maritime Youth. But the understanding behind is that not everyone maybe can be a ship captain, and maybe not everyone would aspire to be a ship captain. But Nana, you're good at makeup. Who does makeup on the ships? Do you want to be a DJ? Do you know that we have DJs on board ships? Are you an electrician? We need electricians on board ships. There's a 35% of unemployment, and it's increasing by day in South Africa. We have a whole economy in the ocean. And I'm just here to call on more of people to say, while they say bring back our land, I want to say the ocean.
Let's take it to
also
the ocean.
It's there. And it's there. And you've got this Londi. So my intention is very clear. While I have been the first, I am ensuring that I multiply and I'm not the last. That's it.
And the same question to you, Gugu, as my final question. What is next for Glamping Adventures?
We have just launched the Glamping Adventures Foundation. We are training young women, again, in rural communities, in storytelling, in filmmaking. Want them to package their stories, want them to be able to make a living out of telling their own stories. We are busy with a digital marketplace for these women to sell the arts and crafts. Not only will it expose them to our travelers, but to the international community as well. We're at a very exciting stage in our business as well, because our clients, our guests, our travelers are saying we want to make an impact in the places that we visit. How do we do that? So we're working on bringing together these impact travelers to also help out in these communities. So not only are we impacting the communities, but we're helping our travelers impact the communities themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, Londi Ngobo is the